Well, good evening. It's Tuesday, April 19th, 2022. I'd like to welcome you to tonight's Columbus, Wisconsin City Council meeting. City Clerk Pat Gable will now take the roll.
Albright.
Present.
Arnold.
Here.
Gray.
Present.
Motive.
Present.
Reed.
Here.
Rolke.
Present.
Steiner.
Here.
If you are able, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Tonight's meeting has been noticed in accordance with state statutes and local ordinances. I'm now looking for a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Alder Gray moves to approve tonight's agenda.
Alder Motive will second.
It has been moved and seconded that we approve tonight's agenda. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, is there any correspondence or communications? Has anybody signed up to speak for this meeting tonight, Pat?
No one's signed up for Zoom, but we do have some people signed up that are here in the chambers.
Okay, and they want to speak at this meeting or at the COW?
So since I'm here and present, I'll stand in for Mayor Arnold in this portion. Was there anyone here that wanted to speak on an agenda item for the regular council meeting, or were you mostly here for COW items, like the stormwater utility, 4th of July, everything of that nature is the COW? Was there anyone present that wanted to speak now during this meeting? I'm seeing none, Mayor Arnold.
Okay, in that case, we will move on to the consent agenda, and I'm looking for a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda.
Before we do that, this is Alder Motive. Before we do that, I have a few changes on the minutes, please.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
This is Alder Motive. I have a few grammar changes on the minutes before we make a motion.
Okay.
On the Common Council minutes, on item 3, consider application for Lot 6 site plan. It's inconsistent with the upper and lowercase. Site plan should be lower, application should be lower. And then on the flip side, when we're looking at committee of the whole minutes, in number 3, we noted that we were moving 13, so 13 and 14 shouldn't show up like it was being discussed. Should be removed, because we didn't do that.
There have been some changes proposed by Alder Motive.
And if everybody accepts those changes, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda with those changes.
Alder Rolke will second.
So it has been moved. Was there a second?
Yes, that was me, Alder Rolke.
Okay. I'm sorry, I don't know what it is, but I'm having a little bit of trouble hearing. I'm going to just see if I can turn up my sound a little bit. Maybe that'll help. I apologize for that. It has been moved and seconded that we approve the consent agenda with the changes noted by Alder Motive. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Is anyone opposed? Motion passes. Moving on now to new business. The first item under new business tonight is to elect a council president. I am therefore looking for nominations from council members or someone to serve as the council president for the next year.
Alder Motif will make a motion for Ian Gray to continue to be council president.
Reed will second.
So it has been moved and seconded by Alders Motif and, was that Reed?
Reed.
To nominate Ian Gray to be council president for
We
the next
also
year.
have somebody else waiting to make a
Oh, I'm
nomination.
sorry, we don't need to do, sorry. It has been moved and seconded, and so are there other nominations?
Yeah.
For,
Yes, I would like to make a nomination for Alder Motif. I wanted to make a nomination for her last year, and I got to work with her on the stormwater utility, and I thought she did a good job, and I thought she would, it would be a good change for her.
Thank you.
I have a question here. Do we need to have a second for all of the nominations? That is correct, right?
Attorney Johnson?
That is correct.
Okay, so we have another nomination for Alder Motif to be the council president. Is there a second? So the procedure now would be,
That motion will die for a lack of a second, and you can ask if there's any other nominations, and then we'll go forward from there.
are there any other nominations for president of the council? So then we will take a vote. All those in favor of Ian Gray to be president of the council for the coming year, please say aye.
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 I didn't hear that either. You need to make sure you have 4 affirmative votes.
Okay. All right.
Would you like to take a roll call, Alder, or Mayor Arno?
Let's do a roll call, please.
Albright?
Aye.
Gray?
Aye.
Motif? Aye. Reed?
Aye.
Rolke?
Aye.
Steiner?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you so much. And again, I apologize for the confusion there. We are now going, well, congratulations, Ian. Looking forward to working with you for another year. And now we are going to move on to the second item under new business, which is to consider the Class A liquor and fermented malt beverage license for Columbus Market. And this, I believe, is the property that has been a Cenex, and according to our city clerk, all the inspections have been completed, no issues have been found. The Columbus Market is in the process of purchasing this Cenex convenience store, and when the sale is complete, Cenex will surrender their alcohol license to the city before the new license can be issued to the Columbus Market. And it is recommended that this license be granted contingent upon final closing documents. So I am looking for a motion to approve this liquor license.
Alder Reed has a question. While I have no concerns, I was just wondering if there would be better printout submitted on the description of the agenda item. The letters are rather mixed up.
Yeah, I think we all got a 20-page in our packet, and then Pat corrected it with the correct page, so I believe everybody has the correct information in front of them. So, looking for a motion to approve?
Reed would then like to approve the license application for the Columbus Market.
Motive, second.
So it has been moved and seconded that we do approve this liquor license request. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, now we're moving on to number 3. Consider a street closing request from the Chamber of Commerce, and this is for Red Bud Days, May 14th, 2022. It's actually Red Bud Day, I think, because the only day that they really are celebrating is on that Saturday. And they are requesting, because this is our annual event, they're requesting a street closing approval. They want to offer a brat fry, a chalk walk, barbecue pork rib cook-off, music, and more to the community. It's from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., and they are requesting that the street be closed between 7 a.m. and 4 p.m. to allow enough time for setup and takedown. And so I am looking for a motion to approve the street closing request.
Alder Steiner will approve the street closing.
Gray will second Alder Steiner's motion.
So it has been moved and seconded that we approve the street closing request. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
You know, I didn't hear anything. You need a minute?
It appears to be all ayes, but you may want to call for opposing votes.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know what's happening here, but I'm having a hard time hearing. Is anyone opposed? Okay. In that case, motion passes and the street will be closed for Red Bud Days. The item number 4 for us to consider tonight is to review the MOU, that's Memorandum of Understanding for the community gardens. The council has been able to purchase property. I'm sorry about the background noise there. The council was able to purchase the property located just southwest of Tower Drive and Hamilton Street in November of last year. And this was the current home of the community gardens, and the preferred option is to have the community garden remain at that same site. And so they have reviewed this agreement, the community garden people, and they have no objection to the agreement. So I am looking for a motion to approve the MOU for the Columbus Community Garden.
Alder Albright can make a motion to approve the MOU for the community gardens over on Tower Drive.
Alder Motive will second.
So it has been moved and seconded that we approve the MOU for the community gardens. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye loudly.
Aye.
That's very good. Thank you so much. Anyone opposed? Okay, great. Now we are moving on to number 5. which is to consider the quote to repair the Vector 2100 truck, submitted by our wastewater treatment facility lead operator, Katie Anding, and she has been in front of council to explain the need for this. I know maybe Adam, as a newer person on council, is there any more information that you feel you need, or would you like anybody to chime in here? Katie is here tonight, so if you have any questions, I'm sure she'd be happy to answer them for you.
No, I looked over the paperwork, it's pretty good.
Okay. So I am looking for a motion to approve the quote to repair the Vector 2100 truck.
Alder Motif will make a motion to repair the Vector 2100 truck.
Alder Rolke will second.
So it has been moved and seconded that we approve the quote to repair the truck. And is there any further discussion? I believe we will do a roll call on this. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right.
Gray,
Aye.
Motive,
Aye.
Reed,
Aye.
Rolke,
Aye.
Steiner,
Aye.
Albright.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Great, thank you very much. Item number 6 on the agenda tonight is to consider changes to the city's fee schedule, including the alcohol publication. It's been explained to us that the current fee of $35 no longer covers the cost to publish a single alcohol license for the 3 consecutive publications required for a daily newspaper. So there is a request to increase it to $55, and the Hillside Cemetery Association wants to increase the grave staking fee to $75. And I am therefore looking for a motion to approve these changes to the city's fee schedule.
Alder Rolke moves to approve the changes to the fee schedule as listed.
Alder Motif will second.
So it has been moved and seconded that we approve the changes to the city's fee schedule. Is there any further discussion? We'll do a roll call on this one then, too, right?
Gray,
Aye.
Motive,
Aye.
Reed,
Aye.
Rolke,
Aye.
Steiner,
Aye.
Albright.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, great. Now we're going to move down to number 7. Consider Resolution 522, a resolution designating officials authorized to declare official intent under reimbursement or bond regulations. Kyle, can you give us the Reader's Digest version
Sure.
of this resolution?
Yes. So what this allows us to do is to pay for certain things on projects that will ultimately be funded by a tax-exempt debt offering. We pay them upfront with fund balance and then refund ourselves with the eventual debt issuance. This is one of the requirements, is that we have to have this designation in advance in order for that refunding to be tax-exempt. So it's a necessary function of how we kind of manage our debt and projects.
Does anyone have any questions for Kyle on this resolution? In that case, I'm looking for a motion to approve the resolution.
Alder Gray will move to approve Resolution 522, a resolution designating officials authorized to declare official intent under reimbursement bond regulations.
Alder Motif will second.
So it has been moved and seconded that we approve Resolution 522, as stated by Alder Gray. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Is anyone opposed? Great, the resolution passes. The next item tonight on the agenda is to consider my appointment to the CAAC Board, the Columbus Aquatic Center, of Jerry King, who sent in an application asking to be considered and will be taking the place of a board member whose term ends in 2024. So is there a motion to approve Jerry King to the CAAC Board?
Alder Rolke moves to appoint Jerry King to CAAC Board.
Alder Albright can second that.
So it has been moved and seconded that we approve Jerry King to the CAAC Board. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Great. Jerry, you're now on the board. The next item on the agenda, number 9, is to consider and take action on claims in the amount of $280,485.17. So I am looking for a motion.
Alder Gray moves to approve the claims in the amount of $280,485.17.
Reed will second.
It has been moved and seconded that we approve the claims in the amount stated. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll take a roll call.
Motive?
Nay.
Reed?
Aye.
Rolke?
Aye.
Steiner?
Aye.
Albright?
Aye.
Gray?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is report of city officers. And we'll have our city administrator, Kyle Olson, go first.
All right, thank you, Mayor Arnold. A couple items tonight. The Highway 89 project is underway. Most of you have probably driven by and seen the major disruption down there to the normal traffic patterns. There's a lot of construction vehicles that are moving through the site, and during the day, there's going to be exposed excavations within the site. And so it's best to avoid the area. It's closed. There's barricades up on the borders of the construction zone. So using Waterloo Street or Avalon to get around the construction zone is the route that is the detour. And it's going to be better than ever in a few months, but it's going to be, several months of having it really torn up. And we do appreciate the patience, but it's very important to stay out of that zone for everyone's safety. Following up on the organizational and compensation study, that's underway. Last week, the consultant was here. They talked with about 20 people, everyone from frontline staff to managers to elected officials. If everything keeps moving along and they get some of the documents that they're looking for, we anticipate that in 4 to 5 weeks, they'll have something ready to come back to the council and at least kind of discuss the first portion of the study. But if you do have any questions along the way about where they're at or finding out what kind of insights that they might have, just let me know and we can kind of give you an update on where we're at. The CDBG project, that's also now been advertised. There's a pre-bid walkthrough May 3rd, and that I believe is a mandatory walkthrough, so anyone bidding is going to have to come meet with the engineer and see the actual site so that we know what they're bidding on. They have a good understanding of what we're expecting. And then bid openings will be Thursday, May 12th. And then shortly after that, we would be awarding the bid and getting the project going, knowing that it has to be completed, paid, and all the paperwork into DOA this fall. So we're really going to be on a short time frame there. Just as a side note, Jason Letha, our engineer, has been observing the incoming bids on a variety of projects, and he's saying that some bid results are very, very normal, but he's also saying that certain items have been showing wild swings, 20, 30% more than last year, particularly in some of the ductile iron and things like that. So we're not sure how that's going to impact this. We just sort of have to wait to see what the bid numbers come back at. And then finally, I just wanted to thank everyone involved in the election on April 5th, thanking the DPW staff that helped set up and tear down, the election workers that kept the polls running during the day, Clerk Pat Gable, Deputy Clerk Jane Foodie, and then all those that took the time to vote. I just wanted to thank everyone for their participation, and that's all I had.
Thank you very much, Kyle. I want to officially welcome Adam and Amy to our city council. I'm sorry I can't be there in person tonight for your swearing in. And I'm looking forward to having a great year with this council. So congratulations to you. And just want to mention that the city is still in need of crossing guards. This will only be until May 20th, I believe, when school is out this year. I think I mentioned before that my husband went through the training and has been called as a substitute crossing guard a couple times, and he really enjoys it, even on the cold, snowy days. So if you know anyone who might be interested in a very part-time, well-paying job, please consider, ask them if they might consider applying. In spite of the cold weather last weekend, the Columbus Rec Department held a successful Easter egg hunt, and all the money that they collected is going to go toward their fundraising efforts, and they have so many activities coming up. Please check out their Facebook page. We're lucky to have all kinds of things going on for kids and families in our community. Redbud Days are actually, it's a Redbud Day. It's going to be happening the weekend of May 14th, and I am honored to have been asked to be one of the judges for the Prince and Princess Redbud contest. And I'm looking forward to all the things that are going to be going on that day, and also looking forward to the farmers market, which is definitely going to be up and running. That's pretty much it for me. I hope everyone has a healthy, productive week. And now I am looking for a motion to adjourn.
Alder Motif will make a motion to adjourn.
Alder Albright will second that.
So it has been moved and seconded that we adjourn. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Great, meeting is now adjourned.
All right, everyone, I have 5 after 7, if we're all ready to reconvene, or, well, convene. Private. Good evening, I have 6 after 7. Today is Tuesday, April 19th. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Columbus, Wisconsin Common Council Committee of the Whole. And with that, if our city clerk, Pat Gable, could take the roll call.
Albright?
Here.
Arnold?
Here.
Gray?
Present?
Motive?
Present.
Reed?
Here.
Rolke?
Present.
Steiner?
Here.
Thank you. And this meeting was properly noticed. So next up on the agenda is to approve the agenda. Is there any discussion or alterations? Seeing none, I'll take a motion to approve the agenda.
Alder Steiner will approve the agenda.
Alder Albright will second that.
I have a motion from Alder Steiner and a second from Alder Albright. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, everyone. Next up on the agenda is citizen comments. We do have a full room tonight, so I would like everyone to please remain respectful and stick to a 3-minute time limit so that we can get through everyone and conduct all of the city's business tonight. With that, well, first of all, Chief Weiner, is this the section you wanted to speak at, or was there a different? Okay, well, I would, if you'd like to start us off?
You can go in the order you sign up.
Okay, perfect, thank you. Oh, perfect, thank you so much. Then with that, or no, Paul wants to speak during the first, oh, you want to speak now? Okay. Then please state your name and address.
Paul Pifron, 435 South Main Street. Good evening, council members and mayor. I'd first of all like to congratulate the newly elected alders and thank each one of you for your service to this great city we call home. I'm here tonight as I would encourage you to support and approve and move forward the Columbus 4th of July celebration that we have had for 50 years so that we can share our great city of Columbus with many visitors who wish to help us celebrate the 4th of July. And as a member of the Columbus 4th of July Committee, I would further encourage you all to stop down and help us celebrate. Thank you for your time and your consideration.
Thank you very much, Paul. Next up, I have Alan Strohschein. If you'd just like to state your name and your address for us. It looks like a face with waves coming out of it. There you go, you got it.
Okay. Alan Strohschein, 620 Park Avenue, Columbus, Wisconsin. Worked in the community 42 years, lived here 39 years. I would correct Paul's comment about there being a celebration for 50 years. It's just that we are celebrating 50 years of this committee doing the celebration. Ironically, the Columbus Fire Department is really working hard, as they do every Tuesday evening with their drills, and they ran the celebration for many, many years prior to that. We're in the process of, I noticed the press is here tonight. I recognize Terry Peterson from the Daily Citizen. We really make this a big deal. I grew up in Beaver Dam, Wisconsin, came here in the 60s and 70s when there was huge drum and bugle corps competition. We've had everything from the UW marching band to the 1st Brigade band, and I am so impressed by this committee. I've been in so many different committees in this community during the time I've served in this community. But what draws me to this is that we have a wide range of ages, everything from people in their 20s to people even older than I am on the committee. And they all actively participate, they all ask questions, and they all work. They all work. And I really encourage you, I'm encouraged by Jerry Lentz's working with our chairperson, and vice president to put together a memo of understanding. So I won't talk any longer because the meeting will go on, and I'm an attorney and I can talk forever. So please pass this on.
Thank you very much, Alan. Next up, we have Dave Malone.
I would actually like to speak on the 4th when you guys get to it, just to answer any questions that you might have. That comes up during the memo. And then I do have a couple of questions, but specific to that.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll reserve you for that item, that agenda number. Thank you. And then next up, we have Dominic, I don't want to mess up your last name too.
It's easier than you think.
Familero. Perfect.
My little cheat sheet here. Dominic Familero, 324 West Mill, Columbus. Been a resident here for 2 years. Followed you guys for about 1.5 years before I decided to move here. And I was pleased with everything that I was seeing. I saw so much potential and so much hope. But with the stormwater utility that has been brought up, which for those of you who don't realize it, it is Plan B to the transportation utility. It was discussed almost immediately following that in many meetings in backdoor channels with the city administration. One thing that I have an issue with is the fact that you guys haven't even gone through any of the options that you had available other than going to a fee immediately. You never once even did any of the studies that you needed to. You guys were allocated money to do those studies. You failed. You now have on your agenda tonight a list of projects that people had asked for with prices. Those prices go back to 2011 and have been adjusted for inflation. That's ridiculous. You guys were allocated $536,903 of ARPA money. Nothing has been used. And if it has, it's not documented in your budget. You could fund that project for a while. I think it's time that you guys actually start following process and procedure and trusting and listening to your community instead of going on your own agendas. And I know there's several people who agree with this, as they all voted it down because you didn't give us the information we wanted. You kept saying, give us the money and we'll answer you. No, it doesn't work that way, Shelley, Sarah. You guys got to do it the right way. This community is happy to make improvements if you just listen. And that's all I got to say.
Thank you, Dominic. And then next up, we have, I'm not sure if I'm reading this correctly. Is it Torn?
Tori.
Oh, Tori, okay.
I'm number 7 with Dave.
Oh, you're with, okay, perfect, thank you. And then Chief Weiner?
Good evening. I'm here about 2 separate things. It'll be very short and sweet. We are participating Saturday the 30th in the Spring Drug Take Back program. Prescription drugs, unused drugs, expired drugs, things you don't need. I will be staffing it from 9 a.m. until 11 a.m. at the drive-thru of Prairie Ridge Health. You can drive right up, don't even have to get out of your car. We'll hold out a container, you'll put it in and you'll drive away. So I got to see a lot of people that I normally don't see and converse with, so when I did it last fall, I really enjoyed it. So please come on out and we hope for a good attendance. The second topic is, Kyle already talked about it a little bit, but I'll give a little more perspective. Farnham Street. Farnham Street is closed. Unless if you live there, unless if you're going to the daycare, or from the south, unless if you're going to the high school. People are openly driving around the large road closed barricades in the wrong lane of traffic that have no reason to be there other than it's a shortcut from point A to point B. We are stopping people. We are writing tickets now. There was an incident Thursday that could have ended up very dangerous. Driver was not paying attention with construction vehicle that was working with, heavy construction vehicle that was working with an open gas main. Could have been a disaster. So we're in the area. Just today, 2 hours ago, I was assisting an officer on a call on Farnham Street by the daycare, And I stood there in amazement as all the vehicles that were driving through, I wrote down a couple of license plates. Different parts of the city, really had no reason to be driving through there. So, you know, we deserve to give the workers a safe work zone. And when you see a sign that's in the lane of traffic that you have to go around that said road closed, that should be kind of a clue. Some of the people we stopped actually did that 3 separate times to get to the other end before we stopped them, and they wondered why we were stopping them. Well, I know the road's closed, but I thought I could go through. I mean, that was a common excuse we heard. And now this week especially, the heavy equipment, there's piles of gravel, there's sewer pipes, and just today when we were on that call where the creek goes through, they had a big pile of gravel and no one was going to get through that. But we want everybody to be safe, make sure you're following the signs, and we'll be good. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Chief. Next up, I have Ron Curtis.
Good evening. Hi, my name is Ron Curtis, 100 Brookside Lane, Columbus. I'm here speaking on the stormwater utility also, item number 9 on the agenda. I support the stormwater utility concept. I appreciate the dedicated efforts of the committee and the city council to try to put information out there to inform people as to what it was all about. And while the referendum didn't pass, I think the 40% support shows that you did a good job of getting information out there. It would appear that there's some information that still needs to be presented, and somewhere down the road, one of your items that you're going to look at is whether to do the referendum again and what you might change in order to get some additional support. As noted in the agenda, there's a list of stormwater projects, and that indicates that there is significant and costly needs for Columbus to deal with stormwater issues. And your discussion tonight is very timely and totally necessary in that regard. And I commend you for picking it up again and wanting to continue to go with it, because the need is certainly out there. Some solutions under discussion are likely going to take a long time, and as a consequence, you're going to need to do some things in the meantime. With that in mind, I'm here to encourage you tonight to continue the work that you had been doing on the Second Ward Creek project. Specifically, there were a few pieces of information that still were needed prior to being able to evaluate that more completely. Back in November, the council approved a work order that would have had that information available about the beginning of January. I've been paying attention to the city agendas, have not seen that information was provided. If I'm incorrect, then I would like to have access to that information and know what the council's intent is in that regard. If that information is not available, then I would like to see the discussion continue to have that information put out there. One of the things on your list tonight to talk about is debt service, and certainly with this project, we don't want to go back and have to redo some of the work that currently has been done, similar to what happened after the 2010 report. There was a project, a report, recommendations, and then that fell by the wayside. We picked it up again. Now we're at a point where we're very close to having some recommendations, and I don't want to see a situation where, again, it gets set aside and nothing happens with it. So I'm here asking that you continue the good work in that regard, and if more information is necessary, hopefully you're able to find out what information is needed, and you can get it on out to the public so you can get more support. The last thing that I want to see is a lot of money going into stormwater and then other city needs not being met. And so that's my understanding of the utility, is to be able to meet those costs and at the same time meet other city needs like street repairs and things of that sort. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much, Ron. And on my list, Ron was the last one that I had signed up, but we do have a full room. Was there anyone that intended to sign up but did not get a chance that wants to speak now? Go ahead, sir. If you'd like to just stand up to the podium, state your name and address.
Is there going to be a specific discussion on the M stormwater? I can raise that, but I don't have anything to discuss on any other issue except that.
Has the council come up with a plan B on the stormwater program, or is that what you're going to be discussing now in the next few months here to see how you can take care of some of the needs, the more urgent needs, and have a plan of how you're going to attack the needs over the next few years? Is that what I'm hearing? Okay, that's it for now.
Thank you so much, sir. Was there anyone else that didn't get a chance to sign up that wanted to speak? All right, seeing none, we will move on. Item number 5 on our agendas are the department reports. In your packet, you will see reports from the DPW, the fire station, the library, Lifestar, the police, and the treasurer.
I have some,
Oh, go ahead, Shelley.
a couple questions.
Or Alder Albright, sorry.
So I'm most interested in the treasurer report. So, one of the recommendations that I'm going to make a recommendation when we talk about the stormwater, and that also kind of involves the budgeting. So, when I look at the treasurer report, I would like to see actuals from last year. And the reason why I think that provides good transparency for somebody that's not, that doesn't have a budget or a finance background. So if you have a resident that is looking at this information in the packet, and we'll just take this one line item for streets and traffic control. The budget is $234,759, and if we had the actual, then we can kind of compare apples to apples and say, okay, so we spent $225,000 last year, and so to me, for the average person, and for me, that would make sense, right? And then I do have a couple questions in regards to funding that the city does to departments. So Kyle, I see that for like the tax subsidy, do you do that all at the end of the year, or do you do that as needed?
Those are typically done as journal entries, one time a year, because it's, that money has been allocated and it's entirely available to, say, like the municipal court, and we don't get to shift back the funding if they don't use it all. It's all theirs.
Okay, so then you do the journal entry when for that?
Sometimes they do it as part of the annual audit when they kind of settle that out. And
so in December?
The annual audit is typically done, I think they did field work in March, and they did
so next year then.
Final review in April. It'll be coming out in the next month or two.
Okay, so then my other question is, as far as tax revenue, I noticed it was like, I don't have it in front of me, but it was like $135,000. And I would think most people pay their taxes, or we do 50% in January, 50% in June. I was wondering why that wasn't a little bit higher.
135, which page are you looking at, I guess?
It was revenue. Okay, no, it was the first line item is what, so first line item under revenues, taxes is 2.7 is budgeted, and then we have activity is 135,000. Is that also a journal entry?
Yeah, the tax revenue, and Brandon's on here and he can answer it more specifically. But yeah, my understanding is that is done as a closeout journal entry at the end of the year when we've settled out with all the overlying taxing jurisdictions that we collect for.
Okay. All right, I have a method to my madness. I just wanted had a couple questions.
Thank you so much, Shelley. And I suppose while we're at it, if Kyle or Brandon would like to explain why we don't typically have a year-to-date reference, and there's very good reasons why that's not but you could probably explain that better than me.
Brandon, I see you don't have your camera, but does your microphone work?
It does, I'm here.
Perfect.
So yeah, the year-to-date would be a very easy column to add through our system. It's since I've been here, I've just copied what was previously provided in the past, but I'm open to recommendations to what the council wants to see, and we'll get it included.
Fair enough.
So I think we actually already had talked, Shelley, that the next report that would be incorporated, because we had only a few days to get this one done. But I think the important thing to note is that the year-to-date isn't always going to be a straight line expense. So, just think of, say, snow plowing or salt purchases. You may be at 80% in March, but you have to kind of look at each one and understand, because some are going to be, like salaries might be straight line, supplies may not be, equipment repairs may not be, and some of the other items too are closed out through those journal entries. Like you'll often see the overarching insurance payments. The city makes one check for that, and then later on it's allocated out to the different funds and departments.
Actually, the column that I was asking about is last year's actuals. So,
okay.
yeah,
That makes more sense.
yeah,
then.
that makes more sense, so that when somebody that doesn't have a finance background, they can see, oh, we have 225 budgeted now, and we used 215 of it, and so that budget makes sense. We just want to make sure that, that we're doing our due diligence.
Kyle, we've had separate discussions as well, and one of the things that I've been looking for are footnotes throughout the financials, so that we don't have to refer back to you all the time, so that if somebody else looks at the financials in the future, it's all laid out there. And it might alleviate some of the questions of, like, are journal entries done at the end of the year, or...
Yep, and I think Brandon committed to doing that for the next report.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Did anyone else have any questions, comments, concerns? Awesome. All right, with that, let's see. We don't really need to approve anything, so if there's nothing else, we will move on. Next up is item number 6, to review the CSA donation of lights to Meister Park. Let's see here. Did Jerry, or who wants to speak?
I think someone from CSA in Amy's absence was going to present this. Okay. Was my understanding.
Or, there we go. Come on up, if you'd like to just state your name for us.
Yeah, Teddy Decker, 970 Badger Court. We're looking to put out lights out on Diamond 1, out at Meister Park, to multiple different reasons. One, to help draw more into the city. Rec department will be able to have other functions out there during the summertime if there's lights, because during the summer it's Monday through Thursday. CSA takes up all the diamond space for the whole entire time. So with having lights out there, we can extend that amount of time to later in the evening and have more opportunities for more people out there at the park.
Thank you. Did anyone have any questions about go ahead, Alder Motive?
Forgive me for asking, but I'm new, so I don't know this. First, thank you for all the fundraising you've done. It says here that you've fundraised successfully in the past. When you go out and collect donations, is that through your own organization, or do the donations come into the city to be managed?
They'd come in through the CSA.
Okay, so you guys are a registered...
We are registered
501c3 or something?
Yep.
Okay.
We're a nonprofit.
Thank you.
Do we have any other questions? Is everyone on council comfortable moving this forward to the regular move?
Ian, just one question. At what point, I guess, are the neighbors supportive of this, or will that be part of the laying out the lighting plan to see if there's different areas we can kind of, shelter certain areas or direct it away? Because I'm assuming the people that don't have any lights there might be sensitive to that.
We have not discussed anything about the residents of the area. Tonight was more of a looking for approval to actually look to see what costs would be and to see how we could best do this for everybody involved.
Thank you, Kyle. I think and that's a really good point. Thank you for bringing that up. Maybe it'd be prudent to send out a letter or get the neighborhood input as you're researching the cost of everything. Doing it in tandem could be easy.
Sure.
Just to make sure that we're not, blinding people at night.
Sure.
Yeah. Awesome. Anybody else? right, seeing none, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And then next up, we have to review the MOU with the contract of Fireman's Park rental agreement. Jerry, do you want to give us some more info on that?
I believe this is already on.
Yep.
Good evening, council. First of all, I'd like to reiterate the sentiment of the 4th of July activities that have gone on here. I've talked to many members, citizens of the area, and I hear nothing but good things about it. But as many of us here we're new. We haven't been privileged to a lot of the information in the past. I know I've only been here since about July, so I didn't get to experience the 4th of July event celebrated here. So in the agenda item, there's a little bit of a historical information that I've been provided. We were tasked, Recreational Committee and myself were tasked with a couple things. One, to look at operational standards of the event itself, and then some costs. Way back in 2018, the Recreational Committee requested of the council that the 4th of July Committee have a separate park rental contract specifically for the 4th of July celebration. Prior to this suggestion, the pavilion contract was submitted for approval. Not only was the pavilion being used, but also outside shelters on the grounds area as well. Council approved the park rental contract that was drafted by Attorney Johnson. Prior to 2018, no monetary payments were being made. The city, instead, the committee made many large donations of picnic tables and benches to the city on behalf of Columbus Parks. I'm sorry, I should have brought my readers. At the same meeting, council also approved the recommendation of the Recreational Committee, the payment of $500 be made to the city for their use of the park. Discussions with the 4th of July Committee was executed before any items were brought to the council. In 2020, the Recreational Committee recommended an increase in cost for the use of the open shelters and grounds. The committee acknowledged that the group provided an event for our community that many people have come to love, and felt that the gradual increase in the costs were fair. We did not recommend that council that year in 2021 payment of $1,000 be made, and in the year 2022 payment of $1,500 be made to the cost of utilities. The reason I wanted to read that was developed by Amy, Joel, and the Recreational Committee. There were studies that went on back then with Amy, Joe, Jenny, the former crew leader in Public Works, regarding some costs for the use of the pavilion, the cost for the use of the parks, and the contract centers around that. They agreed that there would only be a $500 contract amount for the first year. The second year in 2022, that it would go, in 2021, it would go to $1,500, 2022, to $1,000, in 2022, it would go to $1,500. This year, we did not address that. We felt that the gradual increases and some of the other stuff that we addressed in the MOU were sufficient. My end of this contract is the MOU. Several years ago, there were some notes taken regarding some operational concerns. The list of these operational concerns were addressed in this MOU that's presented before you. We tried to keep it as simple as possible. Certain operational items regarding maintenance, repairs, setup, takedown, things that cost the city a lot of operational expenses on overtime for that weekend, additional call-ins. I came in right during the middle of this, and I spent the last 8 or 9 months conveying some information back and forth with the 4th of July Committee, and we were able to obtain a pretty basic operational MOU for this event. I apologize for not having any more information on this. It goes back to 2018. The fees have changed a couple times over the years. The operational essence of the contract itself, again, were concerns that were developed over 3 or 4 years. But I feel what's before you is a very straightforward memorandum of understanding for operations, and the contract is something that was asked of the council and of the recreational committee to address. Beyond that, if there's any questions, I'd answer them for you, if I could.
Thank you so much, Jerry, and no need to apologize. I think that was pretty thorough. So my understanding is we did not have MOUs in the past, and this just helps keep everything clean, makes sure everybody knows what duties, responsibilities, and everything of that nature is. We do also have, I believe it was Dave and Tori that wanted to speak for this section. Did you want to say anything specifically, or did you just want to answer questions if council had any?
I do have a few specific.
Okay, perfect. Jerry, did you have anything else to add? Or okay, so thank you so much. And it's Dave, correct?
Yep, Dave.
Awesome.
Thank you. Dave Malin, 156 West James Street. So the final copy that you guys were given, this was altered after the last one that we had received. So we have a few kind of comments, and we figured we'd take this opportunity to try and address those since we didn't have that opportunity prior.
Okay. What area are you looking at, Dave?
Yeah, so there's a few, some of them are just minor tweaks that need to be done. Tori will have a few others, I'm sure. Item number 2, so the very last sentence is on the date of the actual event, organization may be in the park until midnight. I'd like to see that change to on the dates of the actual events. We can be there till midnight. There are a couple of days ahead of time where we don't have late events going on, but on the days that we do, there is the potential where we are actually there past midnight. Not the bands performing, they shut down noise ordinance and all that fun stuff. But we actually have to clean up and then prep for the following day. So there's times where the committee itself is actually still there. There's times where the band is breaking down all of their equipment. So although it says till midnight, I don't know if everyone is comfortable with just kind of an understanding that the committee is going to be there cleaning and then prepping for the following day, just as the bands that are breaking down their equipment will be there most likely after midnight. But as far as actual like selling of beer or music being played, that's all being shut down and people are getting kicked out by midnight. So it's the intent of what is there is the same as but we don't have any problem with the intent. It's just making sure that everyone kind of knows that we'll actually still be there cleaning up and preparing for the following day.
Okay, that's, and what, could you remind me what your rewording suggestion was?
Yeah, so on the dates of the actual event, just kind of pluralizing it because there are more than, there's more than just one event day during the 4th of July celebration. The park until midnight, that could be reworded to the festivities can go until midnight. I'm open to pretty much everything. I just want to make sure that like, we don't get yelled at for being there at 1 o'clock cleaning up still. It's just part of what we do. The midnight is when we shut down, but not leave.
That makes sense.
I'll
let him get through it.
Sorry. And then on number 6, it's number 6 is talking about the equipment, trash receptacles, all of that stuff being put out that we need. We just want to, we don't know that there's much difference between what currently happens and adding this in there. I mean, all the trash cans get put out well before the 4th of July, I would assume. And I know Tori had, I think, a few comments or questions on that part. Number 7, so we're responsible for the pickup, setup, takedown, return of all equipment, materials, request from the city. It's a very reasonable ask. My question is everything going to be marked? Because how else will we know exactly what it is that we've rented and checked out, right? When we do the park agreement, everything kind of just comes with it as far as the tables and garbage cans and trash cans and all that fun stuff. So if they're not actually numbered, it's kind of difficult to know for us what's missing, what's there, all that kind of stuff. So just a little bit more detail on how that'll actually be handled. Number 8, making alterations to the facilities or grounds. One thing that we do every year is we actually spray it ahead of time for mosquitoes. So we just have to, I'm assuming that just means we just have to let Jerry know that when we're gonna be doing it, because there's a half an hour delay where after we spray, people aren't able to walk on or be on the grounds because we have to have that set. Number 10, so we're responsible for any damage to the facility during the event. That also seems very reasonable. My question is, since we're not allowed to be there between certain hours, so like at 3 in the morning, obviously we're not allowed to be there. If someone comes in and vandalizes, let's say they just spray paint something, or I think we've had some issues with vandalism in like bathrooms. If that happens, are we on the, like, is that on us? I mean, we're not allowed to be there. It seems like that at that point during the hours that we're not allowed to be there, that would go back and fall upon the city. But that's not specified. The number 11, that automatically happens. We have insurance. We list the city on there. That won't be a problem. But that kind of ties directly into number 12, which is one of my concerns, which is that the 4th of July organization, our nonprofit, group of volunteers, we're legally responsible to pay for the fees of the city attorneys if the city gets sued because of the 4th of July. I disagree with that. If the city has something that they're being sued for, I don't know why the 4th of July would pay for it. If the pavilion, if there's a railing that breaks off and they sue the city, although that happened during the 4th of July event, I don't know why, I'm unclear as to why we would be paying for the city's attorney fees in that scenario. To counter argue myself a little bit on that, because that's always fun. The insurance company, since the city is listed, the insurance company actually provides all of their own attorneys that represent. We are not allowed to use our own attorneys. So if the city is on there, in theory, there shouldn't be any attorney fees because the insurance company is going to be covering it. So regardless, I feel like this whole thing should just be withdrawn like this, or stricken and taken out of there, because either A, I don't think that it's right that we cover if the city gets sued. I know that it says due to 4th of July negligence. That opens up a can of worms. If we do a walkthrough and there's a hole in the ground that we don't see in the park, and then someone falls in it and sues, it doesn't seem like, I see a very easy argument would be, well, the 4th of July committee walked the grounds, they approved everything, they said everything was good, therefore it's our negligence, and therefore we have to cover it. And even if that is the case, our insurance company is going to provide their own lawyers, so the whole thing, I think, should just be removed. Hopefully that all makes sense. I know it was long-winded and there's many aspects of it. And then the keys, just having a set number of keys on item 14. There are, again, we're a group of volunteers, so we all have full-time jobs that we're doing while we're trying to put this together. So we would like to have 3 sets of keys. That way, if there's the random chance that 2 people are unavailable, ideally that 3rd person is there and is available for it. It doesn't specify it, and so I just like to see that on there.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much. I think some of that is pretty reasonable. Before we move on to Tori, Paul Johnson, did you have any comments on any of those items before we move forward?
Only the paragraph 12. All the other comments that Dave made, I think I can work that language in without too much trouble. Paragraph 12, I don't disagree with a lot of what Dave said. I think that he is correct from a practical point of view that most likely if there is anything that happens, if there's any claim that comes up, it'll end up being a battle of insurance companies. There's the cities and everybody else's who might have insurance involved. But as a lawyer, I'm pretty much obligated to put some kind of indemnification language in the agreement that if we choose to take it out later, we certainly can, but at least I have to start there. So that's why it's there right now, for conversation purposes more than anything else. I think that, you know, my gut tells me that it's a fairly remote situation, that it would end up being a claim that the city would be able to make against the organization that isn't going to be covered by either city insurance, organization insurance, or some other mean. But, you know, again, I put that in there as a fail-safe more than anything else. So I'll leave that up to the council to decide how we want to handle that issue, but everything else I was fine with.
Thank you, Paul. And I agree with you on item number 12. My only concern is if we have an MOU and this language is in it, would it be a potentiality that the insurance company could then sue their insurance company or their entity instead of handling things like they normally would?
Well, most likely it will. In worst case scenario, it will be one insurance company suing another one.
Right. And
hopefully for the July organization and the city of Columbus being far removed from any of that. That would be the more likely situation.
Thank you. So with that, before we move on to, I think you had Alder Motive?
I have
Go ahead
one.
and turn on your mic.
Oh,
Good.
I'm sorry. I do have one question. I guess it's still directed for Dennis maybe to answer for us. I know that the bands have to stop at a certain time of the night and there's noise ordinances and stuff, but do you ever receive any complaints about the organization going past midnight while they're cleaning up?
For the 4th of July festivities, no.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
And we're usually on grounds till at least 12:30 or 1, until pretty much everybody's gone. During the entire festivities, we have at least 2 staff assigned to the grounds, not working patrol, probably don't even have squad car. So we're there as well, and obviously keep an eye on things, and there's no history of issues whatsoever.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alder Moldif and Chief. So on that item, is the council comfortable leaving it the way it is, or does council feel that we should make an alteration to extend it only for the committee and their workers past midnight? I mean, basically, we have an understanding, our police force understands that they'll be there. Like, is that something that we feel strongly enough that we need to change, or?
Just as long as there's an understanding that we're going to be, that was my only concern, was that we want to make sure that there's an understanding amongst everyone that we'll still be there cleaning up.
Okay, perfect. I just want everyone to be comfortable on both sides. Looks like
I would almost say we should change it just in case in future context, if something does happen, that you have the understanding that these guys are going to be here cleaning up after midnight and they're going to shut down the festivities at midnight. Because, you know, well, right now they're doing it here, but say 5 years down the road, it might be a different situation depending on who's living there, what's going on, and the activities that are happening.
Okay, so thinking of the MOU as more of a template for future instead of a current. That's a valid statement, I think. And I think that should be easy enough language to add in, right, Attorney Johnson?
Right. I agree with Adam that it would be, if we have expectations and we want some boundaries, that's what this MOU is all about. So let's try to get it right and then get it so that everybody's comfortable, so that we all know what's going on. So I think I can change that relatively easy.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Alder Steiner and Attorney Johnson. Alder Reed?
Yeah, I'm feeling very comfortable about number 2, the way it is, adding the word dates. And then I would like to follow Adam's suggestion and add on a sentence on the cleanup crew may, be able to work past the midnight hour if needed. Just a little something, just so it's out there. And
Right.
specifically mentioning the cleanup crew.
Right, and I think Attorney Johnson could handle some good language that we could all agree and move forward with on the next one. So it sounds like, does anybody else have any thoughts on that? So we're all in agreement changing that. Perfect. Let's see, let's go through a list of items. Jerry, do we have a very good list of items? I know Amy's not here. That might be more of an Amy question. Right.
Yeah, we have a pretty good list of it. Most of them are numbered, and I can certainly make sure that, and he's correct that most of them are already on site, but historically there's been some additional requests, and when they check them out, we can make sure that those are all numbered, itemized.
Okay, perfect. So that's not a problem.
So I do have a question on that. So do we have an inventory list that we can provide for people when they rent our buildings?
Yes.
Okay.
Pavilion, it has a set amount of tables, all of them are numbered. It has
Okay.
a set amount of chairs, all of them are numbered. But periodically, we rentals like this, both on the ground, this pavilion. There comes time, sometimes in the middle of the night or right on the weekend where they need additional materials. So Public Works is called in to provide those.
Okay, so maybe Attorney Johnson, we just want to reference a list that's provided in the MOU so that it's clear that they're getting a list.
Right, I was gonna add a sentence that said the city will mark its equipment and provide a list to the organization.
I think that's perfect. Is everybody comfortable with that?
Yep.
Perfect. And then next up, they typically spray for mosquitoes. That's definitely something we want to know about because we don't want kids and animals and stuff in the park when that happens.
I let Amy Jo know every year.
Right, and
Yeah,
I'm
we
sure
do
you
that,
do.
so
I'm
just to continue.
the whole purpose of this is so we all have an understanding of exactly what part everybody plays and what happens. So I'm grateful you brought that up. So if we could just add something in about the amount of time needed for notification perhaps of what you're doing in that respect? Does that make sense? Or what would you like to see?
I already have, they're scheduled for the last week in June right now. They can't give me a specific date because it also has to have a dry time, so it can't rain.
Right, yeah, that's understandable.
So that depends on that weather, so I can't give you an exact date, but I know it's that week before. And then I let Amy Jo know, they usually let me know a couple days. They'll say, we're gonna try and hit this day, or this day, and then they let Amy Jo know, and we either call each other in the morning right away, and I'll say, hey, these guys are coming today, because I know that they have summer school and summer classes or whatever they have out there at the park, so she knows that to at least keep the kids inside for a half hour while they're spraying, so.
Yeah, it's just important for exactly what you mentioned. We need to know so that we're not accidentally poisoning someone.
Yeah, so I'm sorry, this is out of turn, I apologize. On that, Attorney Johnson, if it's at all possible, so you guys can choose the amount of time that you feel most comfortable, and then have the caveat on there, in case of change, must notify the city as soon as possible. Just that way, if all of a sudden there is a wet time and we're not able to spray, we don't have to wait 2 weeks for it. We just have to work with that.
Sounds right.
As I look at number 8, I think the alterations to facilities or grounds doesn't necessarily refer to pesticide applications. Right. And the other caveat would be that there's a lot of rules about pesticide applications and where you have to post and how far in advance you have to post, and that's not our rules, that's state rules.
Right.
And because it's our property, if it's not done properly and if we don't have the right label available, things like that, we're the one as property owner that is liable.
We have all that.
Okay.
When they spray it, they put their flags out.
Okay, because they do have to have advance notice to the public because it's a public park and other items. It's not like a traditional landscape application to a private residence.
Right.
And so I just want to make sure that they're doing it correctly, but also I'm not sure item 8 is really talking about pesticide applications.
It's not, but I'll put some language in there anyway, but I would agree that that's not really an alteration, but it's a separate issue that should be dealt with.
Right.
There was no other number in here to really talk about.
Right, no, it makes sense that you brought it up there. That's it's a logical place to bring it up, but yeah, it probably should be a separate item. And we just need to make sure that whatever the time we put forward in the MOU follows state guidelines and health codes and things of that nature. None of us up here know exactly what that is, but I'm sure we can find out.
Fair.
Anybody, let's see, what else do we have?
10.
Item number 10.
The after-hours liability.
Oh, the after-hours liability. To me, I don't see anything in there that needs to be changed. Would Attorney Johnson, item number 10?
The only thing, I understand the point that Dave was trying to make. If something happens at 3 a.m. and the park is closed down, it's kind of hard to hold the organization responsible for that. So top of my head, maybe put something in there in that first sentence that says, while the organization, instead of in possession of the park, on the premises or something like that. I mean, when they leave and lock up for the night, I would agree that it'd be kind of hard to hold them responsible for something that they don't have control over.
Right.
And you can probably...
Go ahead, Kyle.
So my only thing I want to add is that I think there are, the carnival staff are there, and we leave the park differently than we normally leave it, in that we leave facilities open for them, I believe. And so normally if the park was just on a regular night, I think all the bathrooms would be locked and everything else, but I think we, for the convenience of the people that are there as part of the celebration, we keep certain things open that increases the amount of, risk of damage. So, maybe if we lock them up, then it's not an issue, and then we'll take care of any normal vandalism that occurs on the outside.
Yeah.
Just as a counter, the vandalism to the bathrooms, has that been outside or inside the bathroom that we've been having a streak in the last couple of years?
It was inside the bathroom, and that's why we started shortening the hours that the bathrooms were open in, not as much in firemen's as others, but I think the point of leaving that open overnight, if the city's going to be liable, then we may want to consider just locking them, because there are porta potties available in the park already.
I think that's a valid point. Would you prefer to remain liable or for them to be locked? What are your thoughts?
Well, we've only left one open, and that's the main one by the ball diamond. Everything else has been locked, or is locked. And there's, as far as I know, and Dennis could probably verify this, I don't think there's ever been any vandalism during the 4th of July week, because the carnival people, they're there, they watch it too, because they know that they're part of this celebration and they want to come back because they like this town. So, and the carnival town, I'm going to call it, where their bunkhouses are, sets up in the high school. So the water to run their bunkhouses comes from that bathroom. So if there's ever any issues, if a hose breaks or whatever, they can, at least they can turn it off. And like I said, all the rest of the buildings are locked, and that's fine, as long as, if we can just leave the one open. And like I said, they watch it.
I understand, but if we are giving you or your vendors access to something, I do believe that you should be the ones liable for it.
Do we have cameras?
No.
Could we install them?
Cameras in bathrooms is a bad idea. But even getting good coverage around the facility it's relatively expensive. They did look at some other areas earlier this year when we had the vandalism in the other areas, and it was thousands of dollars per building. Plus, then you have to typically get the internet connection, or somehow have the DVR set up in each building. Not impossible, but relatively expensive for what we're trying to accomplish, I think.
And I do want to clarify, I didn't mean anything perverted by that, just by the doors, the front door.
Go ahead, Alder
So
Albright.
do you have an agreement with the carnival people, do you have a written agreement with them that indicates if anything happens while they're there, that they would be held liable?
No, we've never asked that because we've never had the problem.
Okay.
I don't know, in my opinion, if it's in your control or one of your vendors' control, then it's your liability, and that should remain part of the MOU, in my personal opinion. What's the rest of council?
Can we change it to just that facility?
I think that would be fair. What do you think, Attorney Johnson?
Which facilities are you trying to separate out?
I would call it the main bathroom, I guess I would, brick building bathroom, I don't know what you call it.
The ones that we did the roof for.
Yeah, the ones that we put the roof on.
And
Rest Haven?
No, not the Rest Haven.
No.
By the dugouts. By the dugouts, yeah.
Facilities by the
Right
dugouts?
behind the circle veterans flag thing.
What is, so how about council? Do you think we should keep it as is, change it to the specific facility, or remove? Go ahead, Albright.
I'm in favor of being specific, because if something happens where their people aren't, we really can't. That wouldn't be fair if we held them liable.
I think we should leave it as is. As we talked about earlier, we're trying to be thoughtful about what's going to happen in the future, and so it's setting precedent. And what if things change in the future as to the location of things?
That's fair. Any other thoughts?
I would say that we make it specific, but you guys have keys to everything, so you can lock it up, and if there is an issue, come and open it up when it's necessary. Because there normally isn't an issue with the carnival staff that are there, and if someone has access to it, one person that is, liable for the access to it, it shouldn't be an issue for every other facility there. If there is something that happens, you wouldn't be liable because it's locked up, but if something does happen with the facility that has the key and has access to it, it would fall back on either you or the carnival staff, right?
My understanding as far as what everyone is thinking is, yes, if we want to go, if you guys would like to go the direction that we were responsible for damages to the bathroom in the middle of the night, then yeah, we lock everything else. The only thing that is open is that one facility, just so that they have water and access to slightly nicer bathrooms than a porta potty.
There's 100 carnival people there, and not everybody likes to use a porta potty. I'm sure you guys don't want to use a porta potty.
It's totally understandable. My thought is, it's your event, your vendor, it's your problem. That's my train of thought. Yeah. I am personally okay with separating it out.
Yeah. But I don't think our carnival is going to be the ones that are.
I fully agree with you. I just don't think the city should have any liability in that situation. Any other thoughts?
Can you tell me how to define that bathroom again? What I heard was bathroom by the dugouts. Is that good enough?
Yeah, Jerry, did you have a good?
The main bathrooms. I would call it the main bathrooms.
And so our DPW director calls it the main bathroom, perhaps the main bathroom by the dugout?
Good enough, thank you.
You combine both? Go ahead, Alder.
Thank you. I would be fine either with leaving it as is or having the exception that the organizations shall be liable for unlocked rooms.
I think Alder Reed, Attorney Johnson, did you hear that? I do like that wording better, just unlocked facilities.
We can work on that after.
Instead of calling out a specific one, because that does make it more of a living document for future use, just any unlocked facilities.
So the organization is responsible for any damage to any unlocked facilities?
Right, I think, that makes sense to me.
Yes.
It is brilliant.
Thank you. Thank you, Alder Reed. I think we're all in agreement. Does that work for you guys then?
Yeah. You're talking facilities that can be locked.
Right, yes. Yes, that's an important.
Not like the pool shed, which is.
Right, that's an important caveat, Attorney Johnson, all facilities that can be locked.
that are within our possession.
In the areas that we rent.
Yeah, in our possession.
In our possession, yes.
Yes, all of the city.
Yes, the entire city wide. You are responsible.
As long as I get a key for every building, then sure.
Perfect, thank you. And then item number 14, wishing 3 sets of keys. I think that's reasonable to just call out 3 sets. Everybody good with that? Okay, perfect. I think that is it. Did you have anything? Oh, sorry, Alder Reed.
Back to item 12, are we comfortable completely voiding that one? My personal preference is just to leave in the first sentence with the idea of holding the city harmless, and then getting rid of the second sentence where we're making it complicated and they're paying our attorney's fees.
Okay, so you're saying to keep the hold harmless clause, but to get rid of the second portion of that?
I'm thinking.
That seems fairly reasonable. What do you think of that, Attorney Johnson?
That would be the middle ground approach, yes.
Anybody else have any thoughts?
So my thought is we need to check with the insurance, because I do feel like they may frown upon us just saying, hey, the city is held harmless in an event that something happens. Because I'm not an attorney, but my assumption would be that that would mean that our insurance can't go after the city's insurance, or they can't split it 50-50 or work together on that. If we're saying we're going to hold the city harmless, that would take the city's insurance out of it.
Well, the organization would hold the city harmless. So,
Would that,
partially correct.
Right.
But that goes back to the railing breaking.
Would the organization holding, so Attorney Johnson, would the organization holding the city harmless mean that if someone sued the organization for a railing breaking, that the city would just bear no responsibility in that event?
They would sue us too.
Well, I'd assume so, but, so basically you're just saying we can't sue you guys if we do something dumb. Is that?
Well, actually, it's not exactly that way. What that normally would mean is that if the city, the city as an entity, not their insurance company, if the city ends up being on the hook for something that because of you guys being dumb, I'll use your word.
That's fair.
Then you're gonna reimburse the city for whatever it lost. If insurance covers it, the city doesn't lose anything, so there's nothing to worry about. So it's kind of the last layer of defense is the way I look at it.
So ideally we don't do anything dumb. I try to go by that. Assuming something does happen, or better yet, let's say that it's beyond our control. Someone comes in with a fake ID, right, which happens every year. We try to catch them as best we can. But that does happen from time to time, and as soon as we catch them, they're kicked out and they're banned, right? If something like that were to happen, we didn't do anything dumb. They sue both the organization and the city. The city's tied into it, and the organization would work with the city as far as figuring out the settlement. And by the organization and the city, I mean the insurance companies would work together on the settlement. Is that how that would work?
Well, right, if there's excess liability over what the insurance company will be paying, either yours or the city's,
right.
That's when this paragraph will kick in.
So someone is served too much, drinks and drives, and gets into an accident, someone passes away, and we're talking a $5 million lawsuit. Our insurance is $1 million. I'm hoping that the city's is larger than that. you're saying that the organization would bear all of the remaining costs the city, once the insurance is out of it, they're out of it, and we bear the remaining burden?
There's about 14 ifs to get there. But yes, that, as a general theory, yes, that is where it goes, yes.
So that was kind of my initial thought on why just striking it all together, and that if someone sues the city is responsible. If someone sues us, we are responsible.
I think we're kind of in the weeds of what the meaning of this. So this is going above and beyond like anything the insurance companies are dealing with or anything of that nature. This is only, the organization cannot indemnify or hold the city harmless against any and all causes of action which may arise from the organization's use of the park during the event. So anything that's covered by insurance, anything outside of that, anytime they would be suing the city directly, the city would still be responsible for that. This is completely separate from that. I think we're getting into the weeds. This is thing doing way too many ifs.
So this is if we do something wrong, we can't sue this. We as an organization can't sue the city. It has nothing to do if someone in the public falls in a hole and then sues both of us. That has nothing to do with it. It's just strictly, we can't sue you guys if I fall in a hole.
Yeah, I'm not in that. Well, go ahead.
So I think.
This is not. Yeah, you're turning this into a law school exam, but that's probably okay.
That was not my intention, I promise.
If a patron falls in a hole and breaks their ankle, there's several layers that they're gonna have to jump through before they're even gonna get to suing you and or suing the city. But if that were to happen and the level of injury is so high that it exceeds all of the available insurance money that might be there after the insurance companies get done fighting it all out, then because it happened as a result of your use of the park. The park was yours during this period of time. So for something like that, then that would be something that we would be saying, hey, you agreed to indemnify us, the city. So now if the city is responsible for $100,000 or whatever the case might be, we're looking to you for that. That's what this is intended to say right now.
Right, and I think we're getting super far into the weeds and way into some crazy hypotheticals. And I don't want to be here discussing this all night. So what we need to do is, the council, are we comfortable striking everything but the first sentence, or striking all of it, or leaving it as is? Alder Albright?
Well, since this is the first time we've had an MOU and we haven't had a problem in the past, I wouldn't be opposed to removing it completely.
Alder Motive?
I think we should leave it in there as is.
Alder Rolke, do you have an opinion?
Yeah, I do. I'm sitting listening to this and anecdotally, I used to go to the 4th of July at my grandparents' place in Duluth, and one summer there was a big accident and all the fireworks went off all at once off of the barge on Lake Superior, and cars were terribly damaged. And I think to hold an event like this, both the city and the organization takes on a certain amount of, it is what it is, something could happen. I don't think it's fair to hold you entirely responsible, and I don't think it's necessarily appropriate to hold the city entirely responsible. So I'd be in favor of striking everything but the first line.
Thank you, Alder Rolke. Alder Reed?
Same as before. I would be fine with just having the first line.
Perfect. Alder Steiner, your thoughts?
It seems to me that we could just leave it all in there because it's opposing any kind of negligence on your part as opposed to things just randomly happening. So like if, something happened in the bathroom, you didn't clean it up, somebody slips and cracks their head open and everything gets out of the hand, that's on you, that's not on the city, even though it's city property and the city maintains the facility, it's on your terms with the facility, you're in charge of it, you're in charge of everything that's going on there. So I would say if something like that were to happen, it should be on you, not on the city, to take responsibility for it.
Thank you, Alder Steiner. So I have 1, 2, 3 for keeping the first sentence, 1 for removing everything.
Not removing everything, leaving it.
No.
Oh, it was me. Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
And 2 for leaving everything. So sounds like, well, okay, so I'm counting myself as leaving the first sentence, if that number didn't make sense to everyone.
Can I make a suggestion?
And I think leaving the first sentence and removing the rest, it really changes very little as far as the city is concerned, but it shows a kind of a good faith middle ground to everyone. And I think it would leave it so that it would only be like a flood event, that it really was meant anything to anyone. It would be a grand event. Go ahead, Attorney Johnson.
Alder Steiner just said something that I think would be a really good middle ground. Again, if the first sentence reads, "The organization shall indemnify and hold the city harmless against any causes of action which may arise from the organization's negligent or intentional act," that severely limits the amount of liability that the organization would be looking at, because that basically makes it, if the organization does something that causes all of this hoo-ha, as opposed to if a patron does something, and maybe that would be a decent middle ground.
Yeah, just to put our stance as succinctly as possible, is our concern is that if it is vague, which oftentimes is a good thing, in a scenario like this, if there's a hole on the property that we miss as we do our walkthrough, and then does that mean all of a sudden that now we bear the burden of that? And so those are the kind of things that
it definitely does not mean that, is what I'm trying to get to. It 100% does not mean that.
Like 15 minutes ago, you were trying to say that.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if it makes sense for, my suggestion is you guys go talk with your insurance company, your attorneys, make sure you understand what it means to you, and then work on the changes in the contract and come back to us.
So have Attorney Johnson do the changes that have already been suggested, and then we will talk to our insurer just to verify what the verbiage that they find acceptable.
I will work on all the other changes and leave 12 alone, or else leave it in, put it in both ways, so that when it comes up for the next meeting, you can pick and choose.
Yeah, I think leaving it both ways so that we have both options is probably good, because we're fairly split. Perfect. Awesome. We are past that.
Thank you, just as a side, thank you for bearing that very lengthy discussion, so I appreciate it.
It was our first time around of doing this with you guys, and I think it's important, and it'll save us a lot of work in the future.
We appreciate it.
Just a point of clarification, back to COW or straight to council?
I think if we bring both drafts, one with item number 12, both ways, we can go straight to council. What's the rest of? Yeah, okay. And then we'll just decide which one to move forward on then. Perfect. All right. Oh, and now I'm moving papers around and lost there we are. All right, review the remote attendance ordinance. So everyone has that in front of you. Did anyone have any questions, comments, concerns? Go ahead, Alder Albright.
So when we discussed doing Zoom, we discussed it for multiple reasons. One, an alder can't make it to the meeting for whatever reason, and or for residents and or speakers. So the problem that I have is with C. So, and this is my scenario I'm thinking about. What if in the days of COVID, somebody wakes up and we don't feel well, like on Tuesday morning, but we're not so sick that we can't stay, that, you know, we can't participate, we just don't want to be here spreading germs. So I'm wondering if there's a reason why there has to be a notification and why we couldn't just go to a standard policy that we use Zoom, that Zoom is an option going forward. I mean, obviously, we don't want people to take advantage of it, right? Because they don't want to get dressed or whatever. But I think if, especially in the days of COVID, and, you know, just to give you an example, my daughter was with her mother-in-law last weekend, and we had, you know, grandma tested positive for COVID, then Amanda had to test positive for COVID, and Amanda was at my house. You know, so it's just, you know, it's just like a kind of domino effect with COVID and just, you know, potential for getting sick.
I understand what you're saying. I think that it should still, we need notification and the chair needs to decide. Otherwise, we're just allowing for Zoom meetings forever. I think most of our current council wants to be here and present for people, but that's not necessarily going to be the case forever. If we get council members that would rather stay home, I don't want them to just be able to stay home. I want them to have to notify the mayor and the president and get it approved. I want the council here and present unless we are under an emergency order and forced to stay home. I personally believe C absolutely must stay.
Ian, can I comment?
Oh, go ahead, Mayor Arnold.
Well, this morning I thought there was no way I could even Zoom tonight because I felt so terrible. And I'm better now, and I'm happy that I can be here, but there's no way I could have given you 48 hours notice because this came on so suddenly. So I agree with Shelley that maybe we could tweak this a bit, that in case of some kind of medical emergency, and I'm assuming here that people are only going to want to Zoom in if they, like Shelley said, you don't want anybody else to get what you have or something happens, so you're well enough to sit at your computer, but not well enough to get up and go to the meeting. So
right.
I wonder if there's some way we can tweak this.
I think I see what you're going for. We could add in something that at the chair's discretion, it's something of the nature that the chair has the discretion to allow remote attendance without, go ahead, Attorney Johnson.
Oh, I was going to say, I picked 48 and 24 hours out of the blue.
Right.
Under the assumption that it takes the city clerk or whoever is going to be in charge of the meeting a little bit of time to get a Zoom meeting set up. That's probably not all that true. But I can certainly tamp that down a little bit and put 48 hours or as soon as reasonably practical or something like that, and that would take care of it.
Right, like a 48 hours recommended or at the chair's discretion, something of, I'm sure you can figure out a good wording for us to be able to move forward. I just don't want to see that omitted. I really want council in chambers whenever possible. Anyone, did you have more to add?
No, I mean, as long as there's the option, like Mary said, I mean, she didn't know that she wasn't going to be feeling well, so.
Right.
And that was exactly my point, so.
Anybody else? Alder Reed?
Oh, no, I'm just in agreement with Mayor Arnold and with Shelley that 48 hours is completely impossible. Do we want to have a sentence mentioning an exception for emergency use, or how would that be worded?
Right, I think Attorney Johnson will be able to figure out the best wording. I think he understands our intent. He'll be able to word it. He's the lawyer, yeah. Any other thoughts or? Okay, perfect. So are we comfortable moving this forward to the regular meeting? Okay, perfect. Perfect. Moving along, let's see here. We have, all right, item number 9, the stormwater utility fee referendum results and review. This is going to be a lengthy one, and it is 8:30 at night. I would move that we table this to our next meeting, unfortunately. This is something that I am very passionate about and I want to discuss, but I also don't want us to be here through midnight and not get to the rest of our agenda, because I believe there is several hours of conversation here. What's the rest of council think?
I would be okay with that.
Yeah.
I would as well.
I just don't think we have a great option. Unfortunately, we had a couple really lengthy items on an agenda and it just doesn't work out well. I think this is really important. Are there any, is there anyone that wants to make just a brief overview on, I don't know. I just don't want to get into the weeds and have you guys here all night.
Let's just table it and not make any comments on it at all.
Okay, then I would entertain a motion.
Alder Albright can make a motion to table the stormwater utility update.
I'll second that.
All right, I have a motion from Alder Albright and a second from Mayor Arnold. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And again, I'm sorry, this is important. I think we should have it on the very first agenda item next cow so we can get through it. There's a lot to be discussed, and that's going to be something that we're going to be discussing for a very, very long time. That's going to be a regular occurring thing. I do really apologize for anyone that was here specifically for that. Let's see here. Next up, we have the item number 10, review plan commission recommendation for zoning map amendment for Prairie Ridge Hospital. Matt, did you want to talk to us a little bit about that?
Yes. So we have 2 items on your agenda this evening, both from Prairie Ridge Hospital. The first is a zoning map amendment for parcel 1508.13. This was a 8-acre part, or this is an 8-acre parcel that is just to the south of the main complex for the hospital. And what they would like to do is to do a CSM to combine 1508.13 into their main parcel and make it one large parcel. However, the zoning for the 2 parcels are different. To allow for the CSM to happen to combine the parcels, they would need to go through the zoning map amendment. So this is more of an administrative request from them. The future land use map in the area shows this area as the Gateway Business Park area, so rezoning it to a B2 highway commercial zoning would be aligned with the future land use map. The Plan Commission met on April 14th and they recommended approval. The other thing to note is this isn't a precursor to any sort of development application. This is simply more of an administrative function for the hospital. So with that, any questions, please?
Does anybody have any questions for Matt? Is everybody comfortable moving this forward to our next regular? Okay, lots of nodding heads. Thank you so much, Matt. Next up, Matt is still here for the Plan Commission recommendation for the CSM. Very on the same topic.
So obviously with the zoning map amendment being moving forward, this would move forward as well. This is a CSM that would simply combine parcel 1508.13 and 1192.1 into one larger parcel. So this has been reviewed at the staff level and there's no concerns at this point. And as I said, Plan Commission reviewed this on April 14th and recommended approval.
Awesome, thank you. Everyone, any discussion, comfortable moving forward along with? Perfect. And then next up, we have Ruth here from the CHLPC for the recommendation to select an architect to complete the Rest Haven project. The floor is yours.
All right. I believe I don't know, I'm not sure how to run this. I think it's on. Can you all hear me? All right. Well, I just want to say thank you for your dedication to the hard work of running the city of Columbus. And as far as the 4th of July committee, I think I have pictures that go back before the 1900s of the 4th of July celebration in Columbus, so I'll go digging for those. And tonight, I'm here, I'm the chair of CHLPC, and as you know, we're working on making the Rest Haven ADA compliant, update the bathrooms, and get it up and functioning. The calendar this year, the historic calendar, the proceeds are going to that. And then our summer concert series, which will be held the third Thursday of the month, all summer long, June, July, and August. The proceeds from that will also go to help with the restoration. We've had great outpouring of support, and people are excited. You know, we missed the last 2 years due to COVID, and they're excited going forward. So tonight I'm here because we need an architect. I believe in your packet, you have a letter I wrote, and I can read that if you'd like. Just to summarize, the subcommittee has worked diligently over the past few months, contacting the architects, site showings, and providing a list of needed improvements. We appreciate all the time put into this by the architects. We received all the final proposals. We had our subcommittee meeting March 3rd, 2022. We went through each proposal. We compared the pros, cons, and figures of each proposal. Our recommendation is Design Coalition for the architect work at the Rest Haven project. Design Coalition and Roger Smith has worked for the City of Columbus and CHLPC on the Pavilion ADA project. Their proposal was the most reasonable for services rendered. Respectfully submitted, Ruth Hermanson. I have one correction to make on the architectural submittal review. There was a typo in the back and forth and whatnot, but the first one, as you can see, Design Coalition's listed twice. It should be, the first one should be Des Tree Architect, Melissa Destree, and then Design Coalition, Roger Smith, Insight Consulting Architects, Stephen Marpole, and Paul Pfeifferin. Roger worked closely on the Pavilion project. He is real familiar with Columbus, the process, so forth and so on. In his bid, he itemized the help he would give for, you know, doing the proposal work, you know, advertising, things like that. So that's why we went forward with Roger Smith and Design Coalition. Do you have any questions?
I don't. I think you were very thorough and everything. Is everyone comfortable with the, oh, go ahead, Con.
Just a quick question. The money for this is all coming from the donated funds to HLPC, or is this city funds?
There's nothing in the city budget, is what Matt told me, and I confirmed with Matt that this is all donations and efforts forth, and people are very excited, and to get it restored, we're even going back, Jan Ulrich, our archivist, you know, we're trying to find old pictures, things like that, in order to replicate what was there if possible. So yes, there's, just to confirm, at this point, there is absolutely no city money needed for this project. Our hope is in 2023, it's going to be the 100th anniversary of the Rest Haven. And so our hope is to have a birthday party next year and have the upgrades done. It's very much needed. The electrical system, you know, one thing leads to another. The bathrooms are the big standout. But with that incurs like the electricity, and right now you have to come inside, I believe, or to turn on the park lights, for the football field, things like that. So there's just there's a huge need for this. And if any one of you have ever been in the bathroom, I did bring pictures, I think about in April maybe, to the meeting, and I can get those back out or send them to you. It's way past time, and we're happy to have the excitement of the community behind us.
Thank you so much. I think you've done a lot of the preliminary work. I'm excited for it to go forward, and I'm perfectly comfortable with your recommendation. Is everyone else? Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You bet. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right, then with that, our next item up is to convene to closed session per 19.851G to confer with legal counsel for the governmental body who it is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation in which it is or is likely to become involved.
Alder Motive will make a motion to move to closed session.
Alder Rolke will second.
I have a motion and a second to convene to closed session. Take roll call for that one, right? Yeah.
Arnold?
Yes.
Gray?
Aye.
Motive? Aye. Reed?
Yes.
Rolke?
Aye.
Steiner?
Aye.
Albright? Aye. Motion carries.
All right, perfect. We are now in closed session. We will not be coming back to the air for any further deliberation tonight. Thank you all. Yeah, of course.